Greetings, this is Silent James. And Spooky. Spooky and I are doing what has become an annual tradition, sharing some spooky music recommendations on vinyl. So we're starting off strong here. I have what just happens to be my favorite album of all time, Hawkwind Space Ritual. It's not exactly spooky, but the reason why I'm mentioning it, besides the fact that it is my favorite album, is that what I loved most about it was the saxophone and the flute playing and all the weird space things going on with it. And then I looked up, it was all done by this person, Nick Turner. And he has a catalog of many space, spookiness in space albums. That's what I'll call it. Really interesting. Every one of his albums has something delightful on it. Just very unique space music. So I wanted to start off with that. Next up is my next favorite album after Hawkwind Space Ritual. It's Glass Candy Beatbox. All the tracks are really good. Very danceable, but there is definitely a spookiness with all of them, like a really fun... like Life After Sundown is my favorite song on here, and that is a total amazing song for Halloween. So this one is a blast from the past. How ridiculous, it's even got the Tipper Gore sticker on it. Gorillaz, their self-titled album. This is full of really spooky music. Even though it was super popular, it's still pretty artsy and pretty out there. All these songs are very... Clint Eastwood, that's like the hit song on here. Tomorrow Comes Today, Halloween right there. Starshine. There's even a song like about Dracula on here, I think. Que pasa contigo? This is total Halloween. This is wonderful. So I want to talk about a Norwegian band called Ulver, and they used to play black metal for many years, but then they came out with this album, Shadows of the Sun. First I want to show this because this is one of the most beautiful images I've ever seen, like for a cover, and I just love it so much, so I wanted to show that. So with this album they started to like really get experimental and make pretty much electronic music, so they sort of evolved pretty rapidly into this. One thing I will say about them, it's not all beer and Skittles. I mean, their lyrics are so basic and so cheesy and just not profound in any way, shape, or form. They sing it with like such sincerity, and the guy has such a spooky voice that pretty much every song, if you don't try to analyze it, like for how dumb it is, really good Halloween music, and I love that cover. So this album, War of the Roses by them, this is, again, this is more evolved from that album I just showed you. And then the song on here, September, with the Roman numerals for 4. It's the 4th track on here. It's my favorite song by them. It's so good. Listen to that for Halloween. The whole album is good, but that track is my favorite. So in the 70s in England, when Crass came out, a lot of bands came out of that scene. Crass is one of my favorite bands of all time. I wouldn't necessarily say their music is spooky, but this band, the Astronauts, I love this cover. I think it's a beautiful image. And the singer is very spooky. It sounds like Dracula had a punk band. But yeah, check them out, the Astronauts. So the Astronauts used to tour a lot with this band, Zounds. And Zounds, same as them, came out of the whole Crass anarcho-punk movement. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's one of the best punk albums ever, and it's almost like if Robert Smith joined Crass, was like the lead singer of Crass, because it has all the spooky, awesome 80s, late 70s, early 80s goth vibes, but with punk music, and it's politically conscious. The whole thing is just a masterpiece. And funny enough, the singer Stephen Lake, that's where I got my last name from when I changed my last name. I chose it Lake because I loved this band so much, and I also love lakes, I love nature. I wanted my name to mean something, but I also wanted it to be shorter than it originally was, easier to spell and pronounce. I mean, More Trouble is a favorite. Dancing. So Dancing is perfect for Halloween. It is one of the best spooky synth dark songs of all time. All their songs are really good. Demystification is lovely. So yeah, sounds. I hate this cover. It's such an ugly drawing, but I guess it fits the sentiment of what they were going for. Eddie Lives. Iron Maiden, their first album, self-titled. I heard this when I was in junior high for the first time. This was the first Iron Maiden album I heard, and it's my favorite of all their albums. I really loved their original singer. I think that, Paul, I don't even know how to say his name, Diano. I think they lost something on every other recording that he's not on. This to me is absolutely brilliant. Phantom of the Opera is one of my most favorite songs of all time. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound Halloween in any way, shape, or form, but all the songs are like horror based and, dark and really, like monsters and different things. And yeah, and the artwork is really cool too. So Iron Maiden. The other album I like is the one they did after this, Killers. Those two are my favorites. Somewhere in Time is good, but again, it's not the singer I like. So, and then, no offense, but everything else they've done I'm not really a fan of, but this is wonderful. We're going to continue with the metal theme here. Opeth, Orchid. This is their first album. First album I heard of theirs was in my friend Pete Bainey's car. It was Morning Rise, their second album, which is really good. This one is my favorite of theirs. It's very different than all their other albums. It's very metal, but they're definitely spooky. Look at this image on the back. Look at these dudes. Spookiness abound. But yeah, I mean, listen to these titles. In Mist She Was Standing, Under the Weeping Moon, Forest of October. The Twilight Is My Robe is my favorite song on here. It's so good. I remember my sister and I being late for school every day, driving, she was driving like top speed to get us to school on time, listening to that song, and that song will get you where you need to go really quick. So here is Katie Lang, Shadowland. I don't know how Katie Lang did it, but they combined basically goth with like country. I don't know. There's something about country that's pretty spooky to me. Like if you listen to Gene Autry, there's a real spookiness to the songs. It sounds like just complete solitary and singing in the darkness to the moon. But I mean, the title track Shadowland it's very Halloween. This whole album, I mean, some of them are happy and poppy, but the whole album really does have like a really cool dark country style. And look at that cover. I mean, total goth. So yeah, Katie Lang, Shadowland. I gotta mention my main man, Screamin' Jay Hawkins. This is Screamin' the Blues. What's weird about this is they have the same song on both sides. She Put the Whammy on Me. It's listed as She Put the Whammy on Me on the side 1 and then the whammy on side 2. And it's not a different version or anything. It's the same song reprinted twice. That is the worst feature about this. Why am I talking about that first? Sorry. I Hear Voices is the ultimate Halloween track by the ultimate Halloween singer, Screamin' Jay. Monkberry Moon Delight is his version is so good. Baptize Me in Wine. Yeah. But anyway, I Hear Voices on here, my favorite track. Screamin' Jay, can't go wrong on Halloween. This one is kind of strange, but Servotron, as you can tell from the cover, is very bleak, very like humans gotta go, they're causing all the problems, robots taking over, and it's from the point of view of a robot. So it's like they have Isaac Asimov's, I believe that's who wrote it, the 3 laws. Law number 1, robot may not injure any human being, like those kind of laws. But yeah, Bad Birthday is my favorite on here, the 10th track, but and then the theme for an ultimate inevitable victory. So this is like, and if you ever see photos of the band too, they dressed up as robots, and the whole thing was they just committed to this whole project. I love this album. I have both of their albums. The other one, their second one, is really good too. But yeah, Servotron, Robot Allegiance. So we're going to get into soundtracks now. Soundtracks are always good for Halloween, and why not start with Rocky Horror Picture Show? So Tim Curry is amazing. Susan Sarandon is amazing. To me, those two make this movie. I really can't stand this person or the character that they play. I know they had the most to do with making this music, but for me, it's all about Tim Curry and Susan Sarandon. Yeah, science fiction double feature. Like, so many songs on here you probably heard. You've probably seen the movie. You've probably seen the live show. Anyway, had to mention it, Rocky Horror. So here's an album that my friend Esther got me as a gift for my birthday. Knives Out soundtrack. If you haven't seen it, it's a perfect movie for Halloween. I cannot believe the director that made this is the person that made what was that Star Wars movie? Was it The Last Jedi? The real bad one. Same person made this. This movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's really, really, really well done, really smart, really funny. And the music is really cool. It's very old school, violins, really spooky, really like very it's like a mystery. The movie's a mystery and the music is music for a mystery. So it's really beautiful, and I really love the cutout and everything like that. The whole presentation of this album is great. So here's one by David Bowie, but it's actually a soundtrack that he did for the film Christian F. It's a very strange German movie, and the music is perfect for Halloween. It's very, very, very spooky. I really love the instrumental songs on here. Of course, Bowie's got to live it up and ham it up with, he has Held In is on here, and Station to Station. So a bunch of his really good songs that he sings are on here. But there's some really, really good instrumentals on here. Perfect for walking around at night. The movie is really good too. It's a little much. It's very depressing, but it's the soundtrack amazing. Happy Halloween, Christian F. So here's one that's unique. This is a soundtrack, but for a video game. This is Castlevania 3 soundtrack. The good thing about this is that it has, one side is the US version of the music, and then the other side is the Famicom version, the Japanese version of the music. Why would anyone listen to the American version when the Famicom version is so much better? It's got it all. It's super energetic, it's super weird, it's really melodic. They were real masters that made the music to those old Nintendo games. This was always a favorite game of mine, and the soundtrack is this is so cool, so good. Yeah, Beyond the Black Rainbow. This soundtrack is about 75% why I love the movie. It's synth, it's dark, it's evil, it's awesome, it's powerful, it's so good. You gotta listen to the music. If you see the movie, you're gonna the songs just like eat their way into your brain, like you just won't forget them. The movie's really cool too. It has its problems definitely, but it's pretty interesting and very visual, which I love. The storyline is kind of whatever. And then I saw his other movie, Mandy, which the less said about that, the better. That was just, oh gosh, that was true horror and not in the good sense. It was awful. But yeah, Beyond the Black Rainbow soundtrack, really beautiful. So this last one is pretty much a teaser to a future video. This is by a band called Psy. They're from Japan, and their album Scorned Defeat is their first full-length album. They're my favorite band of all time. They started out as a black metal band, but they just went super, super, super creative and unique and experimental. Even from this first album, they were doing really, really avant-garde things. I'm gonna do a full video about them at some point in the future, but I just wanted to introduce them to you. And I just love this cover. I mean, I don't know, I stare at this cover sometimes and I really don't know, like, I just think about the mind of the person that is like posing for this photo, and their hand is on fire, and there's a samurai sword, and there's a a skull and a smoke. This is just so insane to me, this cover. So yeah, this is gonna be in a future video, so look out for that.